The McMartin Preschool abuse trials were one of the most famous child abuse trials in U.S. history. Welcome back to part 3, where I want to dive into the resulting actions that were taken in this crazy case that ended up costing taxpayers $15 million and 7 years, resulting in zero evidence. If you missed parts 1 and 2, make sure you go back to see the portions of the transcripts of interviews with the kids that made this case insane and all of the issues that came from that. So don't forget to like this video and follow for more fun legal videos and career information on being a legal transcriber. So let's start today with just part of the amazing opening statement by the defense. Whew, here we go. The people interviewed included 450 children and 150 adults. Also, 49 photo lineups were prepared, bank accounts records were seized and examined, 82 locations were photographed, 1 church was investigated, 3 churches were implicated, 2 food markets, 2 car washes, 2 airports, and 1 national park. Thousands of pornographic photographs and movies confiscated by police were examined in a search for pictures of the McMartin children. Laboratory tests were conducted of 20 blankets from the school, children's clothing, sheets, rags, and a long list of other items, including mops, kitchen rags, notebooks, soil, samples, sponges, animal bones, quilts, underwear, and an archaeological dig was conducted. All of these investigations came up negative. They were looking for secret tunnels, trap doors. They conducted surveillance of Ray Bucky and his family and friends, which consumed 135 hours. They consulted with a satanic expert, U.S. Custom agents. They contacted pedophiles. They checked real estate records, utilities, relatives, friends, associates of the Bucky family, other possible offenders, vehicles, uncharged suspects. They attempted a pornography buy. All of this cost more than $1 million. And the results? Zero. We believe the money was well spent. It was well worth it. Everything they investigated and found nothing. This is defense evident. It was well worth it. Fantastic. If I saw that list of actions, I would assume the state had reliable evidence to continue this trial and reliable people that have reported these things in the beginning. So let's run down the timeline quick. I pulled this timeline from famoustrials.com. Okay, August 12th, 1983. Judy Johnson calls the police to report that her son has been sexually molested at the McMartin Preschool by Ray Bucky, who was 25. The charge is made after Johnson, earlier in the day, took her son to a doctor because his penis itched. Johnson reported to detectives that a spot of blood, just a spot, on the anus was discovered on her son after a day at school. September 30th. Judy Johnson reports to police that Billy said Ray Bucky sodomized him while his head was in the toilet. Reports get ever more bizarre from here. So that's a very short timeline. Like, Johnson, for example, reported that Bucky wore a cape, he wore a Santa Claus costume, he dressed up like a minister, he took Billy to a car wash and locked him in a trunk. Teachers at McMartin supposedly chopped up rabbits. Just crazy, crazy things. And yet, November 1983, Children's Institute interviewers began diagnosing former students of the McMartin Preschool as having been sexually abused. By March of 1984, the count of those diagnosed as sexually abused reached 360 students. On February 3rd, it went on television and it startled everyone. Just reports of a massive child abuse scandal at the McMartin Preschool. Imagine, you hear that. So Judy Johnson, the parent who first reported the incident of sexual abuse that started all of this at the McMartin Preschool, continued to contact the district attorney's office and make new and increasingly bizarre charges. So this is a very short section of some of the notes taken from a summary of an interview with Johnson, as reported by a deputy district attorney. And this was February of 1984, okay? They're gay. So this is what she says. Billy describes having communion in a church. A prayer similar in sound to the Lord's Prayer was recited. A goat climbed up higher, higher, higher. Then a bad man threw it down the stairs. It woke up later. Ray poked Peggy at the altar. Lots of candles, they were black. Ray picked his right pointer finger. It bled. Ray put it in the goat's anus. Nobody had clothes on under the robes. Billy said Peggy killed the baby. Peggy had scissors in the church and she cut Billy's hair. Billy had to drink the baby's blood. Billy's the kid. Ray wanted Billy's spit. He put it on the altar. It went on crazily from there. How no one saw A, that this woman needed mental help is beyond me. And there are more notes from February 26th of similar contact. But B, how did no one on the side of the government go, what the fuck have we been doing here? Let's go back to the beginning. I mean, they were reading the transcripts from part 2, which were insane. They're hearing wilder and wilder stories, and no one stops it. So back to the timeline. March 22nd. Ray Bucky, Peggy Bucky, Virginia McMartin, Peggy Ann Buckley, Ray's sister, Mary Ann Jackson, Bet Rader, and Babette Spittler workers are indicted on 115 counts of child sexual abuse. April 12th, the Children's Institute launches a campaign for public donations to help with its investigation of the McMartin case and other supposed cases of daycare abuse, the people that did those questioning of the kids. By 1989, it received over $11 million in government grants. March, a group of nearly 50 of the preschool parents, led by Bob Curry, arrived at the lot next to the school and began digging for the secret underground rooms that they believed were the scene of massive sexual abuse of children. A few days later, an archaeological firm is hired by the district attorney's office and begins its own dig. No evidence of the secret rooms is ever found. The building was like literally torn down eventually. Also in March, Judy Johnson is hospitalized following a psychotic episode. Who saw that coming? Get people help, please. Is anyone worried yet in this case? September 1985. Finally, some members of the prosecution begin doubting. 2 years later, January 87, Chief Prosecutor Rubin and her assistants are revealed to have withheld potentially exculpatory evidence from the defense. The evidence in question concerned the mental health of Judy Johnson, the parent who first made accusations of sexual abuse against Ray. Did they stop? No. Opening statements started July 14th, 1987. 3 more years until Peggy Bucky was acquitted on all counts. The jury was hung with respect to the verdict for Ray Bucky on 13 of the 52 counts against him. 7 of the 12 jurors wanted to acquit him on all counts. Didn't stop there though. Less than 2 weeks later, the state filed against Ray again, and the jury was hung again, barely 6 months later. The state decided finally not to retry him for a 3rd time. He was finally free of everything in July 1990, and I simply do not understand how the state continued as long as they did. Children were not protected in any of this. And we need to be careful and recognize that all of us can see things and remember things differently based on how they are presented to us and how others can influence our memories. And we can influence other people too. So, this case like lives in my brain, and working on transcripts like these, like it happens every day in legal transcription, and hearing testimony like this can be so hard, especially in, like when they're at found trial and you're like, ask this question, ask that question. Like it can be fun sometimes trying to dissect and stuff, but at the end of the day, these are real people, you know, and as transcribers, we have to be sure that we put down exactly what people say so everything is accurate. I mean, imagine if they didn't have the transcripts of the children's interviews. Crazy.